Nosferatos, Alon Mendon, Kandar, Aton, Neran, Ofa.
Hail to the king, baby.
Okay, that's all well and good, man, but I don't know why you're kicking around doing creepy stuff like that and waiting for me to come out. Strange. Anywho, I'm waiting to do a movie review, and you do what you're doing. Hi there, I'm Movie Man, saving you from terrible movies one film at a time. And today I want to review a film from a series that I've loved for so long, The Evil Dead. Don't know why I feel like reviewing this one. Never mind. So join us in reviewing it. What a time to be alive. After loving the original trilogy in my teens and hoping a new Evil Dead would turn up in my lifetime, we finally got this in 2013. Me and Quotation Lad went to see it back then. Time is the real horror. Am I right? Okay, enough of that. And even though they had the audacity to change the character... Yeah, Ash Williams isn't in this one. Well, sort of. We'll get to that. I wasn't expecting much, but I will admit I was pleasantly surprised. In a world full of remakes that aren't as good as the originals, like the Rob Zombie Halloween film, the Poltergeist remake, Day of the Dead remake, and the 1998 Psycho remake, and let's not forget the Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 remake. Yeah, that last one's on my shit list to be reviewed soon. This film stands above them. But let's back up for a moment. Why does this film stand out and none of the others I've mentioned? Well, you see, this is a remake / possible sequel to the original Evil Dead movie. So we'll call this remake-quel. This means it follows the same story beats as the original movie from 1981. So as you can tell, it's very faithful to the original and throws in some nods to the sequel Evil Dead 2, which is neat. Some of these include the broken necklace outside of the cabin. It can be seen resting in the shape of a skull, just like the original Evil Dead from 1981. Also, the illustration of the abomination in the Natrum de Monto is based on the poster artwork for the original film, The Evil Dead, again from 1981. There is more, but I'll leave that for you guys to find. Sam Raimi and actor Bruce Campbell, who played Ash in the original trilogy, have returned as producers of the film, along with their buddy Robert G. Tapper, who produced the original 3 films. Did you know that he and Sam Raimi make a cameo appearance in the original as hitchhikers? Anyway, producer Rob Tapper suggested remaking Evil Dead to Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell. Raimi was enthusiastic to the idea, whereas Campbell wasn't enthusiastic at the idea. Raimi thought that The Evil Dead from 1981 was exactly the sort of film that could be updated and reimagined for a new generation of movie watchers. Whilst Campbell was not happy to pass on his iconic role of Ash, he changed his mind when he heard that the film would follow a new set of characters and the role of Ash would not be recast. But how could you recast him? He's Bruce Campbell! Before we move on, we should talk about Bruce Campbell. They eventually moved on to make Ash vs Evil Dead in 2015, which if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Sam Raimi, Rob Tapper and Bruce Campbell confirmed that this film is set in the same continuity as the original trilogy, and their plan was to, before making Ash vs Evil Dead, make Army of Darkness 2, a sequel to this film starring Mia, and one final film with Ash and Mia teaming up to fight Deadites. Since Universal Studios passed on Army of Darkness 2, with Ash's adventures now being told in Ash vs Evil Dead, and a sequel to this film appearing to have been shelved, it is doubtful that we'll ever see this team up happen. So, to make this film, Raimi picked Fede Álvarez to make his feature film debut directing and co-writing the film, along with Rodo Sayagues and Diablo Cody. Fede Álvarez got the job of directing the remake on the strength of his 5-minute short, Panic Attack, from 2009, which had become a YouTube hit. And thus, the film was ready to go. The film was made on a budget of just 17 million, which is a lot higher than the original film, which had a budget of 375,000. They decided not to use CGI, using practical effects as an homage to the original film. Yes, all those effects were practical. Well, kind of. They did use CGI for touch-ups and post-production, and the film took 70 days to film, in which they had to film it in chronological order. By shooting in order, the filmmakers could throw blood on the walls and not worry if it would mess up another shot where it needed to be clean. And speaking of blood, the film used 70,000 gallons of fake blood. In an interview, Fede Álvarez said they used 50,000 gallons for the final scene alone. Compare this to the original, which only used 200 to 300 gallons, it's a massive amount compared to it. It's crazy. But the results speak for themselves. The film really has that old school classic slasher film feel to it, and it's surprisingly loyal to the original film's style. But let's get to the meat and potatoes of this film. Is it scary? Well, the scares are plentiful, and the acting is such that you believe in the pain. Yeah, it's quite unnerving to see. It really is quite well made. Evil Dead 2013 is a treat for the fans of gore and horror. It's a morbidly wild ride from start to finish. My only complaint is there isn't enough Ash Williams, but we got that later as Ash vs Evil Dead, the TV show, so I guess it all worked out in the end. Not for the faint of heart for sure, but if you're a horror fan, you'll love this as much as I do. Which is quite a bit, but I do love the originals more. Oh, but we're not done yet, as there's an extended cut of this film. During an interview in April 2013, director Fede Álvarez stated that there would be an extended version at some point. Fast forward to 2015, and Channel 4 in the UK premiered the movie on terrestrial TV. They showed an alternate cut of the film, running an extra 4 minutes and 10 seconds. It is not known where this cut came from, but it is assumed that Studio Canal provided the alternate print in error to Channel 4. Thus, the search was on for this extended cut of the film. But you're asking, Movie Man, what is the difference between the theatrical and extended cuts of this film? Well, I'm glad you asked, dear viewer. Besides additional plot scenes, there is more violence as well. Among other things, the MPAA cuts have been reversed, and the infamous chainsaw scene from the trailer is back in the movie too. Furthermore, the end credits present an alternate ending. There are a whopping 27 differences between the theatrical cut and the extended cut. I'm not going to list them as they're quite spoilery, so you guys will have to go looking for yourselves. The extra scenes add 4 minutes and 50 seconds to the film. The extended cut is definitely worthwhile, and I have to say I'm glad we finally got it. So, to cut a long story short, if you love the original Evil Dead, or the whole Evil Dead trilogy, you will love this remake quote. I highly recommend it.
Wait a minute. Is this a birthday party for me?
What? Oh, what fresh hell is this?
Hello, lover.
Some Halloween party that was. I mean, she was laughing a lot. Anyway.